is the hardest currency in Web3. Bitcoin and Ethereum users have an emotional relationship with their assets. Losing BTC is a significant fear. Trust is deeply personal, and you have to understand that for a lot of people in Web3, their Bitcoin reserves are just like their pension funds, their retirement money, and a means to a peaceful old age. And that's why they are the trust final boss. Elden Ring, trust. They are extremely skeptical, extremely cautious, will take much more time to do research if anything catches their eye. So let's talk about visual and UX trust signals. If it was built hasty and looks bad, it's probably a scam. And this is both hilarious and completely serious. So first of all, before we go forward, can I get a raise of hands if anyone here knows what a jobs to be done is? Okay, lovely, a very nice surprise. But for the other ones, jobs to be done are a UX framework that focuses on how users hire a product to solve a problem. Like, for example, you are hiring a drill not because you need the hole, but you need to hang your picture on the wall. So it's about the why behind the action. So first impressions matter, and as a user, I want the website and interface to feel clean and legit, so I can trust it's not a scam. Because when someone says that, what they really say is, I have no idea what this protocol does, but I've seen enough rugs to know what they usually look like. And that's the thing. In Web3, we've trained users to trust their gut, and not our docs, not our audits, their gut. That means if your font is off, if your button feels slow, if your layout reminds them of a rug they lost 2K last year, they're out. Design isn't just aesthetics. Design, it's a survival filter. So here are some very good examples from Zapper and LlamaSwap. They have very clean design, no hype, fast load, immediate visual credibility. They focus on simplicity, and they prioritize clarity over complexity. And good. Now let's talk about trust through transparency and verifiability. Proof of reserves. This is convincing me. So I really love this quote because it's so rational. It's the opposite of the gut check. It's a user saying, I don't want the hype. Give me the evidence. And real proof builds real confidence. So as a user, show me audits, explain how it works so I know my money is safe and the risks make sense for me. So this is the researcher mindset. This is how I like to call it, the checklist person. The I read the white paper person. And in Web3, they're not rare, they're everywhere. Because once you've been burned, you will look for fire everywhere. And they're going to ask, where are the audits? Who verified this? Can I see the smart contract? Can I check the reserves? And we have here Mesodune dashboard and Lido, very good examples on trust through transparency. All of them have public on-chain metrics. They are verifiable through transparent user activity, public audits, on-chain validator stats, you know, open protocol data, very, very useful. And here's also a maybe more applied type of trust through verifiability. Here we have an example from the TBTC bridge. You can see in the dApp the live minting flow with verifiable checkpoints, so it actually shows you in real time the Bitcoin to TBTC conversion process transparently, so you can check it at any time. So let's learn about social proof and community endorsement. This is actually something very interesting in our space. Most of the projects I use are recommended by someone I trust. And this quote tells us something critical. Web3 doesn't have onboarding. It actually has whisper networks who build squad goals. And trust is something extremely social. And you have to remember that as a user, I'd rather hear from trusted people than guess what's real. Referrals help me skip the BS. So trust begins in the group chat. There's no app store, no customer reviews, no Trustpilot, just Telegram groups, Discord servers, Twitter followers. So when someone uses your product, it's often because they saw someone else using it first. A wallet address, a screenshot, a shared success story. And in this space, reputation spreads like wildfire. And it only takes one negative signal, a glitch, a Sasal or a CoffeeZilla tweeting something about a shady little mechanism you have in your product for your product to actually burn to the ground. So I have two very interesting examples here from TBTC and Aave. They both showcase clear TVL and easily accessible protocol history. And in Web3, this is actually TVL and wallet addresses are equaling social proofing. And also, we have another very good example of Sasal and Celo. Basically, Sasal, who is a very well-known influencer with an impeccable reputation, is associating his name with Celo, which in return means that Celo is actually very reputable as well. Let's learn a bit about protocol and team reputation, or pedigree, as I like to call it. So, has there been any exploit? Is the team good? These questions aren't optional. These questions are actually instinctual. And it's super important to learn who is behind this. And as a user, I need to know who's running it and see a proven track record before I commit serious funds. So, people want to know who built this, where they were around for the last bull market, did they disappear during the last hack? Did they run with the money? Are they building in public or hiding behind avatars? And if you think being anonymous is cool, well, maybe you might think again. To users, this is actually a red flag. Unless you have earned your trust over time, and you can now just hide yourself behind a beautiful monkey, make sure that you're actually displaying at least one of your team members. Make sure you display other teams who have integrated their protocol in your protocol. So no sound protocol will want to be associated with a scam. Therefore, you will gain validation. And unfortunately for all of us, the web sleuth has always one eye on your team's history. So we have here Thesis, Studio, and Threshold Network doing an extremely good job of showcasing their team. And basically, you can go and check their GitHub and other social links they have provided and they are comfortable with providing. And I would like us now to move on to emotional trust behavior, which is actually one of my favorite topics of this talk. This is a behavioral pattern that I have only observed here in Web3. So I usually start with a small amount so that I can see how things work out. If anything goes wrong, I do not lose a lot. So this one is really hitting me because it's not just about being cautious, it's about a strategy. It's about control, it's about surviving in an ecosystem where the margin for error is razor thin. Start small and then scale. So as a user, I would like you to let me try with a small amount first. And if it holds up, then I'll consider going bigger. And this is very important because a lot of the Web3 protocols do not actually give easy access to users to their testnet so that they can build trust with your product. They just throw them in the mainnet sea and that's it. So when someone sends a small transaction, that's not a shrug, it's a stress test. And they're not testing your UI, your gas estimate, your latency. They're testing you to see how your product behaves when it's holding their value. And they do not call it a test transaction. They call it, let's see what's happening. So these are quite fine examples of products that are responding very well to this emotional trust behavior pattern. We have here Meso that just gives very easy access to testnet tokens. This is basically a very low-risk onboarding method. We also have another example from TBTC, and basically they set up outcomes and expectations before the user commits, and also they provide an easy way out if the user doesn't feel comfortable anymore. And now I would like us to talk about risk perception and fear. I saw someone had, here at the conference, had a t-shirt with, ask me about bridges, or let's talk about my bridges. Okay, I would like to ask them, because I asked other users, and what they told me about bridges was that bridges are scary. Not confusing, not clunky, not experimental, scary. And transparency beats the hype. And as a user, warn me about risks and explain the high yields. I don't want surprises or shady fine print. That's the level of emotional gravity we're dealing with. These are the UX complaints. These are trauma responses. And users have watched funds disappear into bridges with no clear receipt, no progress bar, no confirmation message, just a silent void. And even if your code is secure, if the experience feels unstable, you lost them. In Web3, uncertainty feels like a theft. So how do you counter that? Show users what's happening at every moment. Tell them what's next. Tell them what's just happened. Give them a chance to back out before they panic. So as I was saying earlier, Mesoborrow has very good examples. Also, another very good example is here from Mesoborrow, upfrontness on the risks. And let's move forward faster to learning and research and education. So I read everything before doing anything. Here's the beautiful paradox. Users want freedom in Web3, but they also want guidance. So make it understandable, give me plain language docs and in-app guidance so I don't need to be a dev to use it. They don't need a financial advisor, but they do need a glossary. They don't want you to treat them like babies, but they do want a walkthrough. The best users aren't lazy, they're learners. But if your product makes them feel dumb for just asking simple questions, you've lost them. So show them the flow, use simple language, and respect their curiosity. We have here Zerion and Pawn Finance. They really, really have very good examples on supporting education and research for the users. Everything is very easily understandable. Also, another good example for Meso. They make everything super simple. And I would like us to talk a little bit about the trust journey now. So this is how trust actually works. It's not a single moment. It's actually an emotional arc. So from landing on your site to that tiny transaction to deciding whether or not to recommend it and fight for it, trust builds quietly and breaks loudly. So your product lives or dies in these 5 moments. So trust isn't the feature, it's the product. In Web3, everything we build exists in tension between risk and reward. We say decentralized, but we ask users to trust our smart contracts. We say self-custody, but we ask them to sign with a hot wallet. And that's fine if we're honest about it. If we design with care, not just cleverness. Because trust isn't built through branding, it's built through behavior. It's built in the way your dApp handles errors. It's in the copy that explains what's happening, in whether or not someone feels safe handing over their Bitcoin. So don't just build for functionality. Build for doubt, for caution, for people who've lost money and are trying not to lose it again. And in this space, trust is not a side quest. Trust is the product. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the amazing presentation. We have a couple of questions for you. So the first question is there a UX framework process I can use to get started?
Get started what? For what? Get started to put together a product, get started to do research. If you needed to put together a product, I have a saying, which is quite easy. Explorative design helps you do the right things. Iterative design helps you do the things right. So first you test your idea, you see if there is a market fit, and then you build it and test it again and see if you're actually building it right. And this is like the simplest way that I encourage anyone to start their product, whether or not they're designers or anything. This is like basic things. So yeah, hopefully this is useful.
So we have a follow-up to that question. UX research is usually expensive and lengthy. Is there a way to vibe UX research?
Haha. So first of all, UX research doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be lengthy. Depending on what you want to test, it can be super fast and cheap. Anyone can do UX research. And I encourage anyone who has a little bit of a love for their users to just start talking to them and burst their bubbles and just listen to what they have, what they need and what they do, and look at them how they interact with your product. From there on, maybe you are not going to become a UX researcher, but at least you will get some insight. So about vibe UX research, no, there isn't such a thing because you actually need to talk to people. You cannot ask Chatty to do it for you. However, ChatGPT or any other LLM can provide you with useful frameworks on how to maybe at least frame your questions so you are not doing any leading type of questions and then you have spoiled data.
And one more question. What is the process you use to find the fine line between over-targeting a product versus keeping it ambiguous?
What is the process I use to... Well, I think it's... Over-targeting a product is just like your... I don't think it's a very good idea to do it in any way because your product evolves. So you need to have always one eye on the user that is growing and you're educating and you want to onboard. So I think to avoid over-targeting is very useful to every now and then go and do exploratory research and talk to people outside and see, maybe I want to start targeting, like, for example, I am building a super cool wallet for Bitcoin that can be used in IRL and it has a card attached. And if I will only target Bitcoiners, at some point my product will, just like my target audience, will run dry. But then if I am a visionary and I want to make sure that my product becomes successful, I can invest in explorative and exploratory research, and I can start saying maybe neobank users might become my target audience. Let's see what's the overlap. Let's see how I can learn more about them and how I can onboard and convert them at some point. So I think Web3 is not yet in the over-targeting part, because we don't even target people, so we're safe.
Nice. Let's get a few people on the mic. I know that we have 2 more questions, but I need a brave soul that can formulate a well-defined question. And it's not a keyboard warrior. Okay, thank you, Paul.
Hey, Sasha. What is the best way you found to sell user research to project leaders and product leaders and people that are in charge?
So for me, the easiest was to just invite them, like, okay, let's just try it out. You don't have to pay anything. We won't pay anyone. Just come in and observe and listen to the user. And the moment they are listening to the user, actually, they start to believe in it. And then when they are starting to learn about the things that they, like the things they really thought they're true, and in the end they are invalidated by the users, they start to actually believe in that. And I think what's the most important is the fact that you can, what worked for me was to tell them that maybe now it will cost you a little bit, but it actually saves you 10 months of working in your cave and not testing it and validating it to anyone, sending your product out and no one using it. So I try to encourage them to break things fast, learn, regroup, iterate, and try it again. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's one more question. You have time for it. Would you like to answer it?
Yeah, sure. Why
Okay.
not?
Here we
Happy to.
Have you seen any specific design patterns that help onboard complete Web3 users into the Web3 more successfully?
No. No. However, I think what we actually need to start change and do a paradigm change in our mindset is that Web 2 is a different thing. Web 2 is at a huge maturity. It has finally reached a huge maturity, and now they can think about little details, whereas we still need to work out how we are onboarding people. And I think we need to start making a very big difference between Web 2 and start accept that there are different technologies and we cannot just apply one thing to fit all. We need to invent new patterns or adapt them for us to onboard these new people. But it's just like, I think I make this comparison all of the time, but it's as if someone would like to onboard anyone to becoming a pilot, an airplane pilot. It's the same type of learning curve, and also the pilot needs to want to be onboarded. So yeah, it's a lot of work.